Hi, I'm Caden, here with my brother,
Cal,
and you're watching Eating W's.
eat the W.
That's a W. Let's eat one. Let's eat one. That's a W.
On today's episode of Eating W's, we have our NFL Week 14 predictions. But before we jump into those predictions on this short week in the final week of bye weeks, so maybe I'll remember to actually say them at the end this time.
Don't forget the teams on bye.
We're going to do a quick update on our head-to-head pick'ems game. Last week, Callan had an insanely good week, and I had a half-decent week, but Callan absolutely went off. He got 13 points last week, 13 points last week compared to my only 9, and he actually already took the lead back, putting me with a total of 123 and Callan with a total of 124. So it's only a 1-point lead. I'm still feeling good. I can make up for that. But he was able to take the lead after me taking a 3-point lead last week. He got a 4-point swing on me. So it's really getting down towards the end now. We're getting to these last 3, 4, 5 weeks, and it's going to be tough.
It's probably my best week of pick'ems.
Yeah, so this is a short week now, but then now after this, buys are done. So every week is going to be a full week. So lots of points still up there on the board. So now we'll jump straight into our predictions for this short week, starting with the Thursday night game of the Las Vegas Raiders heading to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. And we start with the split. I have the Raiders in this one. Callan has the Rams.
Yeah, I picked the Rams because I think that the Raiders are just not a very good team right now. They did get a good win against the Chargers, but it's going to be a double dose of Los Angeles, and we'll have to see if they can go 2-0 against Los Angeles. But I don't think that they're going to. I think that either whether it be Bryce Perkins or Baker Mayfield for the Rams, but I think that one of those quarterbacks are going to get it together, and they're going to be able to beat the Raiders, especially if they can contain Davante Adams.
See, I'm all on the Raiders train. I really do think that they've been playing well. They started on the struggle bus, to say the least, with Josh McDaniels at head coach. But they've seemed to found some sort of identity. They get the run game going a little bit, and then the run game opens up Davante Adams, and they are just able to run away from there. And not to mention the Rams continue to be a very beat-up team, not only at the quarterback position, but just across the board. So they do got that home field advantage, but I still have the Raiders getting the away win. Next up, we have the first Sunday slate of games with the New York Jets heading to Buffalo to take on the Bills in a divisional matchup and yet another split. This is our game of the week, and I have the Bills, and Callan has the Jets as his upset.
Yeah, but the way that the Jets played against Minnesota, where they showed that they were able to come back, even with a large deficit, really showed that they're a team on the rise. And the Bills continue to struggle at times, even though they do have a winning record and are one of the top teams in the AFC. They're not very dominant with these games. And I believe that because of that, they'll let the Jets stay in it, and Mike White will be able to pull away with an upset victory.
The Jets were able to pick up a win the last time they faced the Bills this year, and actually 2 of the 3 Bills losses have been divisional wins, or rather divisional losses, one of those being to the Jets, but I don't think the Jets will be able to do it twice in one season. I just can't fathom that actually happening, even with White Lightning, Mike White at quarterback there. But it's in Buffalo now. The Bills have kind of got over that curse, and they got a divisional win last week against the New England Patriots. So I think that they pretty handily take care of their divisional opponent this week. Next up, we have another AFC divisional matchup, this time moving up to the north with the Cleveland Browns heading to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, and we agree now. We both have the Browns in this one. The Bengals just came off a huge win against the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Browns came off of a win, but very poor performance with Deshaun Watson's first start at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. But I think that now Deshaun is kind of shook off a little bit of that rust at least. He got a little more used to game speed again. And he's going to get a pretty good defense here. At the very least, a pretty hard-hitting defense Cincinnati has shown themselves to be. So he's definitely got some more rust to shake off, but I still see them pulling off a little bit of the upset here.
Yeah, I got the Browns winning this one because the Bengals just came off that huge game, and the Bengals have been the team who have been either on fire or completely flat, and I believe they're going to come out flat this week after a big win against the Chiefs. And the Browns are going to get going to get Deshaun Watson another week of practice, and I think that he's going to come out and look a lot better than he did last week, and he's going to continue to improve. and lead them to a victory.
I think he was like 150 yards and a pick last week, so it's going to be difficult for him to not look at least a little better there in Cleveland. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings heading to Detroit to take on the Lions, and we agree again. We both have the Vikings in this one. The Vikings just barely eked out a win the last time they faced the Lions, and hell, pretty much every win they've just barely eked out. There's been no easy, dominant wins. It's literally taking years off my life, but at least they are wins at the end of the day. That always helps. And a fun little fact on this one, the Lions are actually favored to win this game when it comes to sports betting. Not sure why exactly, but I'm okay with that because the Vikings seem to play better when no one believes in them. When people say the Vikings got this easy, it makes me nervous because it never happens. It never fails that if the betting is going their favor and a lot of people are saying they're going to win, they always find a way to choke it away. So I'm actually happy here being projected to lose because I think that gives us a better chance to win, ironically.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that they had Detroit flavored, but I guess it's because Detroit's at home. I don't know. Detroit did come off a very, very good game against the Jaguars where they scored on their first 8 possessions, but I don't see that continuing against this Vikings defense. And I believe that the Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson will be able to get it going, and especially get that offense going, and that defense will be able to hold the Detroit Lions to not score on every possession. And I think that the Vikings pull away and get their division clinching win in Detroit.
Kudos to Detroit. They've played good football here of late, but I don't think that the Vikings are going to fall to them here. Next up, we have another divisional matchup, this time in the NFC East, with the Philadelphia Eagles heading to New York to take on the Giants, and another split and another upset. Callan has the Eagles in this one, but I have the Giants as my upset. The Giants just came off of a pretty big divisional tie last week, so they know that they got to start picking up some wins now as we get nearer and nearer, because it's a tight race in that NFC wild card. So they need to get some wins in the win column and not in the tie column, especially. So I see them coming out with a real fire lit under their ass. They kind of got smoked by the Eagles last time they faced, but now it's going to be in New York. They're going to have a week of rest and just be coming off a divisional game in which they had to fight hard. So they're going to keep that momentum rolling with them. And I see Saquon having a really big game this week because he didn't have a huge game last week.
No, he didn't have a huge game. He had a decent game, but not a huge game. And we have learned that the Eagles' weakness is their rush defense. So Saquon could take over this game, but I think the Eagles just have too much firepower on offense. A.J. Brown has just proved to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and he had 2 more touchdowns last week against his former team, the Titans, and including a touchdown that had 0.6 yards of separation. So even when he's covered, he's able to still get good catches, and I just believe that it'll be too much for the Giants to overcome.
A.J. Brown has been a monster to say the least this year. Next up, we have a non-divisional matchup, which is not on trend for this episode, but we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers heading to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. A little bit of a shocker here because Callan does not have the Niners. He has the Bucks, but I do have the 49ers. Jimmy G went out for the season last week, which I never wish that upon anybody, of course. That's a bummer to see. But now I can finally start picking the 49ers because I don't have my hatred for Jimmy G anymore. Now it's going to be Brock Purdy at the starting helm there in San Francisco. And I have the Niners in this one because the Bucks are just not a good team. And even without a quarterback, the Niners are still such a good team. That defense is beyond dominant player-wise, and then it's made even better somehow by DeMeco Ryans there at defensive coordinator. They have a run-heavy offense and a ton of weapons to help out Brock Purdy this week. And I just don't think that Tampa Bay is going to be able to keep up with them.
And I think that Tampa Bay not only will be able to keep up with them, but I think it'll be the Tampa Bay defense that's the star of this show, not the 49ers defense. I believe they're going to be able to overwhelm Brock Purdy. I think that he came in with adrenaline running last week, and there was kind of, what am I looking for here? There was no pressure on him. He could go out there and perform however because he was the backup. Now he's going to have the pressure on him. He knows he's starting. He's going to have the preparedness of a starting quarterback. And even though he will have that extra week, I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense will just be able to pounce on him and take control of this game and be able to shut down the 49ers.
No extra points here, of course, but I predict a double single-digit game. I think both teams in this game are going to have a single-digit score, and the Niners are going to be able to pick up a win like 7-3 or something super low like that.
9-6.
9-6, I like it. So now we're going to jump into our night games, starting with the Miami Dolphins heading to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers in Sunday Night Football in yet another split. I have the Chargers in this one. Callan has the Dolphins.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to get back on track here. You know, they didn't have a very good game against the 49ers, and even though they were able to score against the Niners, it just wasn't enough for them to pull away. And I believe that they're going to be able to get a lot more points this week and outscore the Chargers, especially since the Chargers just lost to the Raiders, who that looks like a bad loss. So I think the Chargers are going to be deflated, and the Miami Dolphins are going to be able to win in a shootout.
I don't know why, but I just seem to be a Chargers fan. They've always, I realize these past few years that they are the Minnesota Vikings of the AFC. They always have these stacked rosters in these great situations, but they never just seem to be able to perform. So I have a soft spot in my heart for the Los Angeles Chargers. So that's why I keep picking them. Bites me in the ass a lot, but I'm going to keep picking them. They just have such a great roster. They've been definitely bitten by the injury bug, but when you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert, sometimes that injury bug doesn't even matter. And the Dolphins came off of a loss to Brock Purdy. So you can say maybe that lights a fire under their ass, but I think if anything, that's going to make them kind of reflect and come in a little deflated, as Callan mentioned, the Chargers being this week. And I think they're going to be the deflated ones, and the Chargers are going to be able to pick up a very contested, but a win at the end of the day. Next up, we have the Monday Night Football game with the Patriots heading to Arizona to take on the Cardinals, and we agree again to finish off this episode. We both have the Patriots. This was really a toss-up to me. I don't have much of a reason for this one. This was, in my opinion, one of the tougher choices. Neither of these teams are bad per se, but neither of these teams are overly good, that's for sure. Arizona's coming off of a bye week this week. I think Kyler Murray is going to start for them. But Mac Jones has been playing better football in the second half of the season than he did in the first half. So like I said, total toss-up, but I do have the Patriots in this one.
I got the Patriots too, and my reasoning for picking them is Bill Belichick. I believe the coaching here is going to be the difference maker, and he's going to be able to outcoach Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, and especially with the way that the New England defense has been able to play these last couple of weeks. I believe they're going to shut down the Cardinals.
Yep. Bill Belichick always destroys running quarterbacks. He's got a great track record of that. Teams on bye this week, we got the Chicago Bears, Atlanta Falcons, Green Bay Packers, Washington Commanders, New Orleans Saints, and Indianapolis Colts. 6 teams on bye this week because it's the final week of bye week, so getting them all out of the way, and now week 15 through 18 will be full slate of games every week. So that was our predictions for week 14 of the NFL season. Thank you all so much for watching, and feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed the video. But until next time, don't forget
to eat the W.